TNAtors, I am the Critic, and it is time for me to review what is new for you. So, the newest piece of news regarding Total Nonstop Action, TNA, or Impact Wrestling, I don't know, is not even a piece of news related to the company. Bobby Roode, one of their longest serving and generally one of their best talents, is now in negotiations to sign an NXT contract. We do not know if this is finalized news, but he is definitely in discussions. So I went back, watched some Bobby Roode matches on TNA, and remembered how good he was, and that got me thinking. TNA, a company that has received a lot of criticism recently, and understandably so, has had a very long line of very good matches. However, some of my favourite TNA matches are ones that are often overlooked in the top 10 TNA best matches of all time, so I thought I would do a little list today. So welcome to the top 10 TNA... oh, sorry, I mean Impact... I'll just stay with TNA. My top 10 favourite TNA matches of all time. Now just before we start, I have to say, these are my top 10 favourites. They are not what the masses would call the best TNA matches of all time, so if some people suddenly start going, "Why is this match not on this list? You're crazy! You do not have real taste in wrestling!" I'm just letting you know, these are my favourites, not necessarily the best TNA matches. So with that being said, let's get started. So I have 10 honourable mentions that I would definitely like to mention first. Bound for Glory 2005, Christopher Daniels vs AJ Styles in an Iron Man match. Kurt Angle vs Samoa Joe, Turning Point 2005. Kurt Angle vs Samoa Joe, again, this time at Lockdown 2008. Kurt Angle vs Mr. Anderson, Lockdown 2010. Kurt Angle vs Kazarian, Slammiversary 2010. Kurt Angle vs Bobby Roode, Bound for Glory 2007. Austin Aries vs Jeff Hardy, Bound for Glory 2012. Austin Aries vs Jeff Hardy again, Turning Point 2012. AJ Styles and Kurt Angle vs Christopher Daniels and Kazarian, Slammiversary 2012. Kurt Angle vs Bobby Lashley on the 20th of March 2015 edition of Impact. But anyway guys, those are my honourable mentions. Now we are on to the Big Ten. In my opinion, this match is the most criminally underrated match in TNA's history, at least from the matches that I personally have seen. It opened the show at Bound for Glory 2010, pitting the Motor City Machine Guns, the tag team champions, defending their titles against Generation Me. This match is solid. From the very start, it is very obviously two men with a strategy versus two men with a strategy. They both try to employ it very quickly, very early on, and it just descends into chaos. It is awesome. The number of high-impact tag team moves in this match is crazy. Now, I never really had a problem with this, but I know a lot of people didn't like the fact that Generation Me used virtually every single finisher in their entire repertoire, and the Motor City Machine Guns kicked out of it every time, and then they used their one tag team finisher, and that's what ended the match. And I can see why that would bug some people, but to be honest, I just got so into the match that I do not care. This match is on the list for a couple of reasons. It's not the best match you'll ever see, but it's my favourite match because it was the first TNA match I ever saw, and it hooked me. We're heading back to Lockdown 2005, an X Division Championship match between AJ Styles and Abyss in the Six Sides of Steel. This match didn't really surprise me in terms of like the violence and stuff, because obviously WWE was still employing that kind of violence in 2005. This match does however have a lot of crazy spots, and one of my favourites is the moment near the end when AJ Styles is hanging on the outside of the cage with a chain round his neck that Abyss is pulling back up over the side. It's a sick spot and it's just a great match, and because it was the first match I ever saw, this has to be on my list of my favourites. We head to No Surrender 2006 for an Ultimate X match for the ages. Now for those of you who have not seen an Ultimate X match, you should probably see one or two. They're pretty mental. It's a very cool variation on a ladder match where a title or a contract or something is suspended via two crossing cables. And basically the rules are the wrestlers have to climb up these steel structures on the corners, balance or climb along the rope, and then retrieve the belt in the middle. But the best Ultimate X match, in my opinion, is the one that pits AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels versus the then tag team champions, the Latin American Exchange. This match is crazy. There's this crazy powerbomb spot where Hernandez is holding AJ Styles in the powerbomb position, and he just throws him into the air. And AJ Styles goes halfway across the ring. There's another crazy spot where Homicide and Styles are kind of in this RKO move and they fall from the ropes to the ring. It's kind of mental. And then the closing spot is the highlight spot because it takes a lot of balls to do what Christopher Daniels did. He jumps from the top of the steel structure on the corner, lands on the cross point where the ropes are to grab the tag titles. It is a classic. Okay, so my number 7 pick is Jeff Hardy versus Kurt Angle from No Surrender 2010. This match is a very WWE style match. It has 2 former WWE superstars in it, and it's just very much a slow, methodical match rather than the super high-paced spot fests that TNA is well known for. This match goes on so long. It's a 15-minute time limit match like virtually every other TNA one-on-one match you'll find, but they reach the end, it's a draw. Because it's the semi-finals of a championship tournament to determine the new TNA champion at Bound for Glory, this match has high stakes. Eric Bischoff comes out, adds another 5 minutes to the match. They go over that again, so he adds another 5 minutes to the match, and they still go over it. And they cannot get a win over each other. And I know a lot of people didn't quite like that because, you know, oh, you need a definitive winner or you need a definitive disqualification or count out, draw, ending. And the wrestlers keep trying to beat each other and they can't. I love it. Sometimes 2 men are just too evenly matched. Okay, so my number 6 spot takes us to Turning Point 2009. The main event for the World Heavyweight Championship is a triple threat between Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, and AJ Styles. Now this match is a great storytelling match. From the start there's this great pacing where it's very slow, and then the spots get higher, more devastating, more impactful, and suddenly the acrobatics come in, the stakes get higher, everyone is now slapping the hell out of each other, kicking the hell, and running around doing all these flips, and it just becomes this absolute masterclass of tension-filled wrestling. However, the only reason it's not higher on this list is because, well, it was good, but it was just a shame they didn't have, you know, another triple threat match, maybe a few years earlier, that is just untouchable. Oh well. So my number 5 match is Austin Aries versus Jack Evans versus Zema Ion versus Low Ki at Destination X 2011. This was a 4-way match to determine who would get a TNA contract, and my god, this match is fast. From the opening bell, all 4 men are in there, they're doing spots together, there's a lot of 4-man craziness, but then the number of vicious kicks, the number of acrobatic moves, including, by the way, the most underrated acrobatic performance possibly ever. Why was Jack Evans not signed immediately? The dude can do a 640. You know, 2 forward flips. I'm not taking anything away from the other people. Low Ki is still the stiffest fighter possibly in the world. Every hit he does, you think, ouch, that hurt. Zema Ion, who went on to get a contract, had the charisma. He had the kind of flashy style that, you know, a lot of people love, especially on the entertainment side of things. And then, of course, we have Austin Aries, who actually won this match to get the contract in the first place. He'd already been in TNA before, but oh, this validated him. Like, he was on another level when he came back to TNA. And this Fatal 4-Way proved it. It's one of my favourite matches. It's possibly my favourite 4-way match ever. It's an absolutely outstanding match, and out of all the matches on Destination X 2011, there's a lot of classics, but that match is the one you want to check out. So my 4th favourite match of all time takes us back to Bound for Glory 2012. We've had Jeff Hardy versus Austin Aries on the honourable mentions list. It didn't steal the show. The match that stole the show at Bound for Glory 2012 was a street fight between Bobby Roode and James Storm. This match had been building for about a year. James Storm finally won the World Championship even though Bobby Roode couldn't quite get it done the year before, and then Bobby Roode turned heel, turned on James Storm. They had a brief rivalry that kind of interspersed throughout the year as Bobby Roode was becoming the best heel in the company, and then it all came to a head in this incredible fight. There was an enforcer in this match called King Mo. I think he was an MMA fighter or something. I can't quite remember, it's been a while since I watched it, but the street fight itself, unforgettable. It is vicious. And after Bobby Roode cost James Storm the championship by hitting him with a bottle, James Storm finally whacked him in the head with a bottle, hit the last call super kick to get the win, and it was just a beautiful story of redemption for James Storm and an outstanding match. So number 3, I'm kind of putting my foot in my mouth because you know how I said that the AJ Styles, Samoa Joe and Christopher Daniels triple threat, it would have been helpful if they had a better one maybe a few years earlier. Well, we're heading back to Unforgiven 2005 now, and there's a triple threat match between Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles and Samoa Joe for the X Division Championship, and yeah, it was better. This is the most unique and probably the best triple threat match in the history of Western wrestling. So you know the normal triple threat match where 2 guys will fight one-on-one with another guy outside the ring or something, and then they'll constantly switch, and it keeps the action fast-paced, but it's generally kind of a one-on-one feel? Yeah, this is a 3-man match from start to finish. It is the fastest paced triple threat match I've ever seen, and it's just 3-man spots, 3-man moves, and just 3-man chemistry, and it's great. It had the right winner, it had the right people, it had the right chemistry, and it had the right amount of time. It was so fast, it didn't need to be long, and it wasn't long. I think it was like 10-15 minutes maybe. But oh my god, it is so good, and it is frequently called the best TNA match of all time, and there's a good reason for that. It is awesome. My second favourite match of all time in TNA takes us to Destination X 2012, where Austin Aries challenged Bobby Roode for the TNA Heavyweight Championship. This match was a classic. Its storytelling from start to finish, the build up to this match had been great with the introduction of Option C. If you know TNA, you know what Option C is. It takes a bit too long to explain, so if you want to search it, feel free. But we had the introduction of Option C. Austin Aries gave up the X Division title to challenge for the world title. Bobby Roode by this point was the best heel in TNA, the most talented on the microphone, and just generally untouchable. But Austin Aries was a very close second, so you had the two best wrestlers in your company fighting for the big title, and it was a big fight feel. The match got a great amount of time. It must have been about 25, maybe 30 minutes, and it just stole the show in every way. We got a new champion. The audience went batshit crazy. And for a very long time, it was my favourite TNA match, until relatively recently, I saw another match. So my number one favourite TNA match in history takes us back to Turning Point 2005, a one-on-one match for the X Division Championship between AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. This is the stiffest fight you will ever see. Samoa Joe's kicks, right? They hurt. And you can tell they hurt in this match. You can hear every pounding shot that he gives to AJ. You can hear every smack to the face, every slap. There's an amazing spot where he trips AJ up on the apron and AJ falls face first onto the side of the ring. It is vicious. The number of submission holds, the number of high flying spots, but it's paced so well, and the storyline is excellent in this match. And I'll be honest, I didn't know the storyline heading into the match when I saw it. I just saw the match, but you learned everything you needed to know from the great commentary, from the amazing chemistry between Samoa Joe and AJ Styles, with AJ occasionally going, "You want respect? I'll give it to you." It starts with AJ dominating in the first part of the match, and everyone's like, whoa, Samoa Joe's been this undefeated monster for the last 6 months, and now he's getting this very, very consistent beating. But then the second Samoa Joe takes control, AJ barely gets control again in the entire match, and it's so well played out, and Samoa Joe just dominates. I mean, this was the start of a close to a 2-year undefeated streak for Samoa Joe, and the rise of Samoa Joe for those 2 years is, in my opinion, the best booking TNA has ever done for one of their new stars. However, AJ brings the fight. There are so many high tense moments, with one of the closest 2 counts I've ever seen when Samoa Joe kicks out of the Styles Clash. It is tense stuff. But then the right person wins with the right move, and there's a great bit of storytelling at the end that isn't really relevant to the match, so I'll leave it. But it is just this amazing chemistry that cannot be topped, and I've watched it many, many, many times. I've never got tired of it. It is the best match, in my opinion, TNA have ever produced. So guys, those are my top 10 favourite TNA matches of all time. As I said before, these are my personal favourites. I'm not trying to list off the best TNA matches ever. These are my personal opinions on my favourite matches. But anyway guys, of course, those are just my opinions. You're the opinionators. Please put your opinions down in the comment section below. What are your all-time favourite TNA matches? And also, what are your favourite matches that maybe aren't put on the best of all time lists with TNA? What are your favourite underrated classics from TNA? And of course, if you like what you've seen here and you enjoyed the top 10, please hit the like button, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And if you didn't like the top 10 list, well, I warned you several times. It was my opinion, so there you go. I am the IMO Critic, and I'll be back again with something else new for you. See you later!